In the heart of Maudi, a village baked golden by the Sahel sun and softened by the evening sounds of crickets and cattle bells, the rhythm of life was slow but purposeful. The people of Maudi rose with the crow of roosters, tilled their reddish soil, shared gossip at the market, and listened to the wind when it changed because in the village, the wind often carried warnings. It was here, at the edge of the dust-streaked plains and beneath the great baobab tree that stood like a god with arms raised to the sky, that a boy named Dangana was coming of age but not without struggle. At 16, Dangana was already taller than most grown men, his limbs wiry from climbing trees and racing donkeys down the dry creek paths. He walked with the swagger of someone convinced the world owed him something, though he had yet to earn it. To the other boys in the village, Dangana was a sort of legend. He had once killed a black mamba with a stick and shouted back at the headmaster of the village madrasa. He climbed the baobab tree higher than any other boy dared. But what set Dangana apart most wasn't his strength or daring, it was his pride. It clung to him like a shadow, never letting him admit fault, never letting him bow even to wisdom. His father, Malam Odu, was the village's blacksmith, a quiet man with broad shoulders and fingers stained black from years of soot and fire. He had once forged machetes for warriors during the border disputes. To the village, he was a man of great respect, though he wore his humility like a second skin. Dangana, Malam Odu would say, hammering at the anvil, iron may be strong, but it must be bent before it becomes useful. Dangana would scoff. Let the iron bend. I will never bow. At home, Mama Robbie tried in her soft, knowing way to balance her son's pride with gentle wisdom. Pride is sweet in the mouth, but bitter in the stomach, she would warn as she stirred pots of goat stew, her face glowing in the firelight. A proud man may walk tall, but he sleeps hungry. But Dangana, always too busy brushing his hair or carving warrior patterns into his walking stick, barely listened. When news broke that the Toguma delegation leaders from a nearby village with whom Baudi had long argued over grazing lands was visiting to resolve the conflict, the entire village buzzed like a disturbed hive. These were not ordinary guests. They were men of status and cunning, and Baudi had to receive them with dignity. At the evening council, beneath the baobab, the elders divided roles among the youth. Some were assigned to build shade shelters. Others to prepare millet porridge and roast guinea fowl. The rest were told to sweep the elders' compound, carry water, and serve food with respectful silence. Dangana, standing among the boys, waited to be assigned a special task, something fitting for a future leader, he thought. When Baba Yakubu, the oldest elder with a beard as white as goat's milk, finally looked at him, he said, Dangana, you will be among those cleaning the council square and serving the visiting elders. The air went still. A fly buzzed somewhere near Dongana's ear, but even it seemed to pause. Dongana's face tightened. I will not carry bowls like a kitchen girl, he said boldly. Choose another. The elder sat in silence, the kind that weighs more than a shout. You are still a boy, Dangana, said Baba Yakubu, unbothered. A boy who speaks like a man but has not yet walked like one. Dongana's lips trembled, but he did not bow. Give me a role where I can lead. Or don't give me any role at all. So be it, said Baba Yakubu. Those who will not carry wood shall not warm their hands at the fire. The council dismissed him, and the boys turned their eyes away. No one dared laugh or speak to him as he walked away, stiff with wounded pride. That night, under a half-moon sky, Dangana sat alone by the banks of the Kola River, barefoot, stabbing the dirt with a stick. The toads croaked in the reeds. The hyena howled far off. In his mind, Dangana replayed the scene again and again. How dare they shame me in front of everyone? Do they not see I am meant for more than chores? But in the stillness of the river and the wind that rustled the dry grass, the truth lingered like an echo. Leadership was not declared, it was proven. Still, pride is a stubborn weed. The next morning, as dawn colored the sky orange, Dangana slipped away into the bush. He took his father's old hunting spear and a water skin, determined to return with a grand kill. Let them see, he thought. Let them see that I am not a servant, but a provider, a man of valor. He walked for hours beneath the scorching sun, setting traps and searching for game, but nothing came. Not a bushbuck. Not even a hare. Only dry footprints and the teasing cries of hornbills above. And back in the village, beneath the old baobab, the fires had just been lit, the goats slaughtered, and the council compound prepared. But fate was already rolling in on the wind, hot and dry, smelling faintly of smoke. By the time the sun reached its noonday peak, Dangana was lost somewhere between ambition and exhaustion. He had wandered far beyond the yam fields and termite mounds, deeper into the scrubland than he had ever dared go alone. His spear hung limp in his hand, and the gurgle of his empty water pouch reminded him that dreams of glory would not quench thirst. Every trap he set had failed, every animal had sensed his inexperience and fled. At last, with his feet blistered and his pride fraying, he turned back toward Mardi. As he neared the familiar silhouette of the village, a foul scent met his nose. It was not wood smoke from cooking fires. It was sharper, acrid and urgent. Then he saw it, a column of thick, black smoke rising into the cloudless sky like a warning to the gods. His heart stopped. The smoke was coming from the center of the village, near the elders' compound near the baobab tree. He broke into a run, abandoning the spear, his lungs punching against his ribs with each breath. When he arrived, chaos met him like a slap. Flames licked at the dry grass behind Baba Yakubu's compound, leaping from thatched roof to thatched roof like an angry spirit. Women screamed as they rushed to carry their children and possessions to safety. Young boys fumbled with clay pots of water, most of which splashed uselessly on the dust. The village well, shallow from a dry season, could not keep up. The baobab tree, ancient and sacred, its bark carved with generations of tribal markings and stories, was burning not from the trunk, but at its base where a cooking fire had been left untended. Sparks had caught on dry raffia mats, and from there, the flames had danced across to the elders' storeroom. Dangana didn't wait for instructions. Something deeper than fear had taken root in his chest, something heavier than shame, something more urgent than pride. He grabbed a hoe leaning against a hut and began hacking at the earth around the tree roots. "We must stop it from spreading," he shouted. No one had asked him to lead. But in that moment, he did. He called to boys his age, forming them into a line. "You dig with me. You go to the stream, forget the well. Fill calabashes and run back. Quick, before the wind changes." The older men saw the fire inching toward Baba Yakubu's hut, its roof already smoking. Dangana didn't stop. He tore off his shirt, soaked it in water, and beat at the flames. His palms blistered. Smoke made his eyes burn. Still, he fought. Mama Robbie, weeping but determined, joined the women throwing sand at the fire. Malam Odo appeared behind Dangana with a full bucket and poured it onto the burning grass. His eyes did not speak blame, only pride without words. And then came the shift. The fire weakened. The trenched Dangana and the boys had dug stopped the blaze from reaching the other side. Smoke thinned. The crackling softened. A final hiss rose from the ground as one of the last flames was smothered. Silence fell, heavy and exhausted. The baobab still stood, charred but alive. Baba Yakubu's hut, though singed, had not collapsed. The villagers slowly gathered around the tree, their clothes soaked with sweat, hands streaked with ash. And there, slumped beneath the blackened trunk, lay Dangana, his chest heaving, his body covered in soot. Baba Yakubu hobbled over, leaning on his staff. He stood for a moment, looking down at the boy who had once dared defy him. Then he slowly lowered himself to sit beside him. "You returned," he said, his voice softer than the wind. Dangana nodded weakly. I was wrong. I ran off to prove I was a man. But I did nothing. Nothing but leave my people behind." "You proved something today," the elder replied. "Not with a spear, but with sweat. Not with pride, but with service." Dangana was silent. The other boys watched him not with envy now, but with something closer to respect. They had seen what it meant to act without being asked. To lead not by title, but by effort. That night, the village gathered for a small, impromptu feast, less to celebrate and more to give thanks. The baobab, though blackened, still stood strong in the moonlight, its branches a symbol of endurance. And when food was passed around, it was Dangana who rose first, not to be served, but to serve others. He carried bowls to the elders, poured water for the women, and swept the ashes from the square long after the others had gone to sleep. In the weeks that followed, Dangana changed. He began to spend mornings in the forge beside Malam Odu, learning to temper iron, not just with heat, but with patience. He listened more. He boasted less. He joined his age mates in farming, and he stopped carving warriors into his stick. Instead, he carved a flame, a reminder of the lesson he would never forget. When Baba Yakubu passed seasons later and the village sought a youth leader to take his place in the council of apprentices, the elders sat again beneath the baobab. It still bore the scars of fire, but its roots dug deeper than ever. There was no vote. No debate. They called Dangana forward. And this time, he didn't raise his chin or puff out his chest. He simply bowed his head and accepted the honor with hands still careless from work. In Baudi, they still tell the story of the fire. They say pride is dry grass, but humility is water. And under the old baobab tree, where smoke once danced, a boy became a man not through triumph, but through service.